Far from the city of Baghdad, in a peaceful and quiet village, there lived an old merchant named Ayaz. In the final phase of his life, he gave up his business and handed it over to his two sons. Ayaz's elder son, Hazen, was a man of noble character. He was not only intelligent, but due to his exemplary behavior, people in the village looked at him with great respect. Hazen always took on more responsibility in the business himself and tried to protect his younger brother Camille from heavy burdens. Yet, alongside that, he consistently advised Camille, "Honesty is the greatest wealth in trade. Without truth and integrity, there can be no blessing in business." After some time, a new thought began to form in Ayaz's heart. He would often sit and ponder, "Why not get both my sons married? They are grown men now. Once they marry and start their own households, life will become even more settled." This thought gave Ayaz a kind of comfort, the hope that he would get to see their happiness with his own eyes. But then, another fear crept in. What if I pass away? How will my sons manage life alone? Even though they are now adults and independent, still, like any father, this worry started echoing in Ayaz's mind. So, Ayaz arranged the marriages of his sons. He took them to Baghdad and married them into the family of a relative. The weddings were celebrated with great joy and festivity. The entire village shared in their happiness. Ayaz felt like for the first time in years his heart had found true peace. As the family grew in size, so did the happiness in the home. Ayaz took special care of his daughters-in-law and spent his days hoping for joy through his lineage. His wife had passed away long ago, and since her death, Ayaz had been living for his children. Otherwise, he had become very disheartened with life, but now, it felt as though life's happiness had returned. However, after some time, Camille, who had always been careless and of a harsh temperament, stood before his father. His face showed clear signs of anger. He spoke in a sharp tone, "Abba, I want my separate share in the business. I can no longer work with elder brother Hazen. He takes the larger share of the profit for himself and gives me less. This is unjust, and I can't tolerate it anymore." Hearing Camille's words, even Ayaz's heart was touched with a flicker of doubt. Perhaps there was some truth in what Camille was saying, because on the surface, it did sound reasonable. But Ayaz knew Hazen's nature very well. From childhood until now, Hazen had never stolen, never lied, and had always lived a life of honesty and integrity. Still, Ayaz did not completely dismiss Camille's words. He fell into deep thought. Eventually, he called Hazen and gently said, "My son, I know you've always walked the path of truth and virtue, and I am sure there is nothing wrong going on. But, if you are willing, it would be better to divide the business, so that both brothers can live their lives in peace." As he said this, Ayaz's voice carried both sorrow and helplessness. He did not want there to be any bitterness between his sons. Hazen, being a kind-hearted and wise man, felt deeply saddened hearing this. He thought to himself, if the business is split in front of our father, he may die of grief. I don't want his final days to be filled with worry. At the same time, Hazen also knew that Camille did not have much understanding of business. If given his own share, Camille could foolishly waste the entire investment. Keeping this in mind, Hazen refused to divide the business. Hearing this, Camille flared up in anger. He looked at his father with rage and shouted, "See, Abba, I told you before, this man is a fraud. He's deceiving me and stealing my share of the money, giving me less. But not anymore. I will no longer do business with him. Whatever happens now will happen separately." Camille stood firm in his decision. He was already a careless and immature young man, but behind this thinking, his wife was also partly responsible. She was trying to take full advantage of Camille's lack of intelligence. But then again, when the boy is without sense, blaming the girl entirely is unfair. At first, Hazen tried to reason with Camille gently. In a soft tone, he said, "Look, brother, there's no such issue. Every transaction in the business is properly recorded. Every single amount is written down. If everything is clearly documented, then how could I be stealing money?" But Camille stood stubbornly on his stance and refused to believe a word Hazen said. Seeing this, Hazen gave a further explanation. "If you doubt my honesty, then go and ask the two laborers who work with us." But Ayaz, the father, sighed deeply and said, "No, there's no need to take our family matters outside." He then turned to Hazen and in a gentle tone, said, "Son, just leave it now. Do the accounts. Half of the business will be yours, and half will go to Camille. As long as I am alive, just give me enough money for my basic needs. The rest of the earnings, both of you can use to build your lives." These words hit Hazen like an arrow to the heart. He felt a deep pain. The same father who raised them, who had always been their protector and shelter, was now being forced to divide their wealth right in front of his eyes. It was a kind of sorrow only a father can truly understand, and all of this, because of Camille's foolishness. Still, Hazen held himself back. He didn't want any more bitterness to grow, so he silently accepted his father's decision. And in front of everyone, the business was divided. Now, both brothers became the owners of their own shares. They brought cloth and spices from distant regions and sold them in the city of Baghdad. Hazen knew very well that Camille's nature was careless and that he lacked the ability to run a business. He was sure that Camille would lose all his money eventually, but what could he do? Given the circumstances, he had no choice but to endure it all. Time went on. The two brothers still lived in the same house, but ran separate businesses. Even the two laborers who once worked with them were now divided, one with Camille, the other with Hazen. On the surface, life appeared to go on as usual, but inside, a storm was building. Thanks to Hazen's wisdom and hard work, his business began to grow and flourish. Meanwhile, due to Camille's carelessness and lack of sense, his business started to collapse. Within just a few months, he began facing losses and continued to fall into deeper debt. Sometime later, Hazen kindly tried to advise his younger brother, "Brother, keep track of your business every month. That way, you'll know whether you're earning or losing. Otherwise, you may keep falling into debt without even realizing it." But Camille, who was completely lacking in sense and unaware of the workings of business, remained stubborn. He arrogantly replied, "No, brother, I know everything. I'm earning well, and I keep track of every single coin. You don't need to worry." Both Hazen and Ayaz knew very well about Camille's negligence, but they remained silent, understanding that trying to explain would be useless. Time passed, and finally Camille faced the very day he had always feared. When he sat down and checked the business accounts, he discovered that he was drowning in debt. But his arrogance was so great that he kept giving himself false comfort. "It's all right. There's still a lot of stock left in the shop. I'll manage to repay the debts, somehow." But what he failed to understand was that if this continued, he would soon have nothing left to sell, and from a rich man, he would become utterly broke. Time continued to pass, and then came the day when stock began to run low in Camille's shop. The same Camille who once boasted with pride, "Everything is under my control," was now slowly coming face to face with harsh reality. Both Ayaz and Hazen silently watched Camille's delusional yet empty talk, knowing the truth, but saying nothing. Slowly, very slowly, the truth was coming closer and closer. Both the father, Ayaz, and Hazen were deeply concerned about Camille's stubbornness and foolishness, but hearing empty excuses, they wondered if maybe Camille had invested money elsewhere or was planning something else. But the truth was bound to come out soon. After some time, finally, Camille became completely broke. One day, he came to his father with heavy steps and helplessly said, "Abba, I keep suffering losses. I do everything properly, yet my business has collapsed. Look, Hazen's business is doing fine. What is the reason behind this?" Ayaz was a wise and experienced man. He listened carefully to Camille's complaints but said nothing. He knew Camille wouldn't listen to words alone, he would only understand when taught a practical lesson. So, he devised a plan. That evening, Ayaz called both his sons, Hazen and Camille, to his room and said, "Sons, I want to talk to you about something important. But first, there is one condition tonight. You both will spend the night in my room." Both immediately agreed. When night fell, everyone lay down on their beds. Complete silence filled the room, and the brothers fell into a deep sleep. Ayaz quietly got up, took out the wallets they had placed under their pillows, wallets filled with gold coins. He quietly took the wallets and returned to bed, as if nothing had happened. Morning came. All three woke up, performed their prayers, and started breakfast. After breakfast, Camille put his hand under his pillow and suddenly screamed, "Where is my wallet?" He overturned the entire bed, but the wallet was nowhere to be found. "Where is my money? Who stole it?" Camille shouted angrily, looking straight at Hazen. "This is your doing. You stole my wallet." Then he turned to Ayaz and said, "Abba, you brought us here to sleep. You didn't steal my wallet, did you? You two are after my stuff. Give me my wallet quickly, or I will go to the judge." Ayaz smiled and said, Son, don't jump to conclusions. First, think if your wallet is missing. Hazen's wallet is also missing. Did you steal his? Camille was stunned and quickly looked at Hazen. Hazen silently listened to Camille but said nothing about his own missing wallet. Ayaz, trying to explain, smiled and asked Hazen, "Son, your wallet is also missing. Why aren't you making a fuss?" Hazen respectfully replied, "Abba, maybe I misplaced it, or if someone took it, they will spend it in this house itself. It all belongs to us." Ayaz looked at Camille and said, "Son, this is the difference between you and Hazen. He is patient in losses, while you blame others. He believes in hard work, but you depend on luck. This belief is what makes Hazen successful, and your haste is what causes your failure." After some time, seeing their behavior, Ayaz took out the gold coins from both wallets and placed them in front of them. Camille and Hazen were astonished, wondering what was going on. Ayaz looked at Camille with a deep voice and said, "Son, you bring goods from faraway places and work hard, but your failure is because you have wrongly blamed your father and elder brother over a few gold coins. This means you value wealth more than relationships. Your greed and carelessness are the reasons for this division. Otherwise, if you truly cared, you would have joined your brother in taking the business forward. I didn't just take money from you." In Hazen's wallet, there were many more gold coins than yours, but he remained silent because he knows whether the money is with me or with him. It all belongs to this house. As the father remained silent, Hazen said in a soft tone, "Brother Camille, if you are still surviving in business today, have you ever thought why? Ask any of the workers how you have survived so far. Otherwise, you would have sold even your own house to cover your share in the business long ago." Camille, eager to know more, quickly called a worker and asked, "What is he saying?" The worker replied, "Master, Hazen Bai is absolutely right. Whenever I open the shop in the morning, Hazen Bai comes and checks all your accounts. Whatever loss there is, he silently takes money out of his own pocket and pays me. He also gives some extra money and says, 'Include this money in the accounts and keep these extra coins safe with you.' Don't tell Camille yet, so that he learns the business. Losses will continue, but at least he will learn something. The amount of debt you have is huge, but Hazen Bai has been giving me money little by little. I have kept this money as a trust. If you want, I can return it to you right now." Camille's eyes filled with tears. He screamed and hugged his father and brother, crying loudly. He realized that without them, he would have been nowhere today. In a voice filled with emotion, he said to Hazen, "Brother, I will work with you. I will do whatever you say. I was truly foolish. I should have trusted you and Abba from the start." Hazen smiled and hugged him back. Thus, the two brothers united and got back to work. Their father's happiness knew no bounds. So friends, in our lives, fathers and brothers play a very important role. These relationships are precious and exemplary. But sadly, nowadays, some people break these valuable bonds over a little money and the consequences are very heavy. Remember, in any work, whether it's your own or someone else's, never abandon honesty, good manners, and righteous principles. Because success doesn't come from hard work alone. It comes from God's blessings, honesty, parents' prayers, and helping the poor. If only hard work was everything, then laborers would be the richest of all. I hope you learned a lot from this story. Every story on our channel contains a deep lesson. So if you haven't watched our videos yet, do watch them. For more valuable lessons and timeless stories, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to press the bell icon. If you liked the video, please like and share it. Thank you for your support.